Welcome everybody to the very first show of YBMcast Tennessee. And nobody else to have better than a first guest is gentleman Brian French. And we're going to talk some high school baseball and split baseball. This is going to be a lot of fun. But Brian, thanks for coming and helping me with this.
I think you could probably find better guys than me. I mean,
Oh, I don't think so. But I think throughout the year we will have a bunch of guests. But for the first time doing this, and I'm not a professional. I'm a baseball guy, professional coach type of guy, and to have somebody who's done this for a long time just kind of help me smooth over, I really appreciate it. So this is going to be great.
well, I appreciate, this is our first foray opening up YBMcast in Tennessee, and we're glad to have Barron Mathis on board. His experience and the people he knows and his ability to talk baseball is going to be a great way to open up the conversation here.
One thing that I was excited about whenever we talked and we kind of came together about this YMcast Tennessee and starting it was what is YMcast, period. And what I knew from you guys when you first came down to the Midland facility, whenever I saw you guys 1st was that it was a great podcast, but I had no idea about all the other things that you do. And it's an everyday thing. You guys are on the road, you're traveling, you're doing games, you're doing all of that. So can I open it up and just so people know how extensive this gets?
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, we were just in Springfield, Missouri, and we did 2 live stream games down there in in the southwest part of the state. And so I'll let you take it. You explain to the folks that what you've seen.
Yeah.
I'd love to get other people's perspective of what we do, because I can tout myself, but I love what was your impressions as you saw this?
Well, when we first started talking and you kind of dive into it, whether or not you want to be involved, and you guys are just good people, so you want to be involved with that. But then once you look into it, we're talking about, you've got cast about mothers in baseball, which is a fantastic idea. And then you've got the games that you're broadcasting and you hear the voices, and you're doing coaches corners, and you've got a round table of coaches that just come together, whether they're high school or youth, and just talk baseball, the good, the bad, the ugly, all the stuff. It's wild. And then the player spotlights. So there's a lot. Every time you went down the page, you saw something different. And I've seen your schedule, and it's a lot of colors. I don't know how you do it. You are spread thin. So I appreciate you being flexible with me as we try to start this thing and kick it off. And it's in Tennessee, we've been going for a little bit in high school baseball, and we've also been going quite a bit on the youth level. So we're in the middle of this thing. In St. Louis, where you guys are, how far along are you in the season?
Well, the season starts in it basically started St. Patrick's Day weekend. That's basically when we started baseball, and this is our 3rd week of baseball. So tournament baseball has started about the same time. It was the first weekend was that. So, high school and tournament baseball usually start here around the same time. If anybody wants to play sooner, they got to go to Tennessee or South or, Memphis, somewhere in that respect. You got to travel south because, to be honest, Barron, we've been fortunate. We've had good weather. We kind of ran into a little snag in it, but like today, it's going to be cool, but it's blue and sunny out there, which is pretty not normal, for this time of year here. So we've had some fortunate weather in the state of Missouri.
That's fantastic. Our high school guys are in the midst of it right now. So we've even started district play. So a lot of our district schools are playing each other right now. And some of the pitchers I talk to, because I do a lot of pitching stuff. That's my main thing. I love pitching and all the stuff that goes into it. So a lot of my kids, they'll send me messages. Yes, sir.
I want to do this real quick before you get into that. Let's do this. I want people to know who Barron Mathis is. So
Okay.
let's talk about what's your background? When did you start playing ball? Where did you play ball? How far did you go? Give us the bio on Barron Mathis.
Absolutely. Well, I started playing when I was 4 years old in Owensboro, Kentucky. One of seven, so you had to start early to get in there and start playing. I played all the way. We went to high school, moved to Tennessee whenever Bell South and AT&T, that whole conversion, came to Nashville. So we moved here, and I played high school ball. I went to the University of Kentucky. Was fortunate enough to be a part of that program under Keith Madison, Greg Goff, and Jan Weisberg, who's the Birmingham Southern, which is a whole other story that just today it's unfortunate. But I was fortunate to be a part of that program and watch those gentlemen coach together. I wasn't nearly as good as I thought I was heading there. And it was a humbling experience very quickly, but I knew I wanted to be a part of baseball. And those guys let me watch them coach, let me understand the game and the ins and outs and how you put together a lineup or a roster, even just managing dynamic of personalities. And
Mm-hmm.
there's just a lot that went with it. And those three guys all went on to have head coach. Of course, Keith Madison's a Hall of Famer. And so to see him and talk to him and just be around, a fly on the wall, was fantastic. So when I graduated, I started coaching with a gentleman named Lee Vaughn, who's going to be a guest with us soon, at Ravenwood High School here in Nashville. And then I was with him, and then we moved to Brentwood High School, and I followed him where we went there. And then we started the travel circuit. So this is 24 years of coaching now.
Wow.
Um, if you do the math, that's how old I am. That's a long time of just being in baseball. And right now, what's happened, I'm the recruiting coordinator for Midland, Tennessee. We have 24 or 21 teams from 8 to all the way up to 17U. Most age divisions have at least two. Some of them have three. For example, in our 16U age, we have three, and we'll have a premier team that travels extensively, and then we'll have a kind of a scout team that travels pretty much the same, and then you'll have another team that can travel a little bit, but not all the time. So we're trying to make sure everybody's got a home, if that makes sense.
Makes
But my
sense.
background is pitching, and the reason why Lee Vaughn and I got along and why we coached so long together is he was the hitting guy, I was the pitching guy, and we just knew what each other was saying. If I was on third base coaching, or if he was on third base coaching, vice versa, first base, third base. There was no signal. We just knew what was going to happen. So 24 years coaching, love Midland, love the guys I coach with, but there are a lot of great organizations in Middle Tennessee. And we're going to have a lot of those guys on this program to talk. And there's no animosity. Everybody gets along. It's just, I don't know if it's Southern or what, but for the most part, everybody kind of shares players when you need a pickup player. If you need to find a better fit for a team, there's no hard feelings. This place has an opening for a third base. I know you really want to play third base. I think you ought to look at that. So there's kind of my background in a nutshell. Um, I've been fortunate to coach a lot of kids.
What position did you play?
I was a pitcher. I was
You
a
were a
pitcher and a
pitcher.
third baseman. Pitcher and third baseman, better pitcher than I was third baseman by far. Um, that ball gets on you in a hurry, I'm gonna tell you. But
Yes, it does.
it really does. But I tell you, I mean, pitching. There's been so many guys that came through Ravenwood when I was coaching there, and Brentwood. I mean, Robbie Ray came through Brentwood whenever I was there as the pitching coach, and he didn't need anything from me. But it was just great to see those guys come through. Brian Reynolds, and the list goes on and on. And there's so much talent that comes from Middle Tennessee that has been wonderful for me, because their success is my success. Fortunately, I get to ride their coattails, put it on the resume. I know that guy. That's all it is, and you keep going. So, but,
So when you're talking about pitching and things like that,
mm-hmm.
your coaching experience and things of this nature, how do you, as far as the show is concerned and what gets you excited about what's coming up and the things that you want to look at and your perspective on youth baseball as it is right now?
My favorite thing, or at least what I have notes on the guests that I'm trying to have on, and most of them are hitting guys. And the reason why I want that is I love to see the angle of, I know what I want to throw you, but when I'm teaching the little guys, we've got to make that pitcher throw us something that we want. So whether or not if we cannot hit a changeup or a curveball to the opposite side, that's all we're going to get because we can't do it. So I love talking to the hitting guys to get their mindset. So whenever I go back and talk to my pitchers, this is what we're doing. Maybe we pitch this guy backwards. Maybe we just go straight at him. Maybe we do whatever it is. But to teach the young guys pitching at a young age instead of just throwing is so important. So the guest that we're going to have on, I promise you, it's going to be more mentality, more mental part of the game than anything else. We're going to talk about if you're 10 years old and you strike out 2 times in a game, their world is over. It really is. They are done for the day. They can't catch anymore. I don't know what happened. I mean, nothing's going right ever. But if we can figure out a way, some sort of scientific way to just relax just a little bit, it's going to be all right. There's nobody here recruiting you today. Nothing's happening. We're 10 years old. It's going to be fine. If we can figure out that, then we got something.
I think it's interesting when you're talking about that. And I think the development process in youth baseball is the key to it all, because you're right. I don't think those things change. They're still kids, 9, 10, 11, 12, that they're not succeeding. So the automatic mindset, the automatic reset is, I'm failing. I don't want to do this no more and whatnot. And I think it's finding that mechanism with each kid, because each kid is different. There's some that are the same, whatnot, but finding that mechanism that helps them overcome that to where they say, hey, it's failure's part of this game. Okay, I got to keep playing.
Yep, and we've all heard that. I know you have too. We all have heard that saying, baseball is a game of failure. That we've heard it. I don't have any idea how many times. A lot. And if it doesn't sink in, eventually that cliche is a cliche because it works. It is true.
Yeah.
And if we can figure out and teach these young men, women, we've got a couple girls playing that could absolutely play.
Wow.
And if we can get, and I'm trying to have that guest on this, so that's something else to look forward to. If we can get those guys to understand that the game is truly, you're going to fail at least once in a game. Something's going to happen. There's not a perfect game here unless, that no pun intended, because there is such a thing. But if you can't figure out how to get over that obstacle, then we're going to have a really tough time falling in love with this game.
One of the things that I found, Barron, that helped, especially on the defensive side, I think offensively, striking out, things of that nature. But one of the things defensively that I found that was interesting for me when I'm coaching 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds, you play the old game at the end of a practice, you play knockout, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody's done that. I love that. It's the competitive part of it. You get the kids and you're moving and whatnot. And I always try to get the 10-year-old, the 11-year-old to understand this premise. Here you are playing knockout and you win it, right? You fielded everything, and you're throwing it across. Yeah. But in a game, the ball's hit to you and you fumble it and you're getting upset with yourself and what's the difference? And I think this is the thing. This is the one mechanism I found. And trying to get these kids to understand this and being able to focus like this is the key. Because you're looking at this kid, and you're like, can you understand that you knew the ball was coming to you every single time? In the game, your mind is not thinking they're going to hit the ball to me. I don't know where he's going to hit the ball. And a 10-year-old doesn't, that's the way they think. I don't know where he's hitting the ball, coach. And to get to learn how to think that the ball is going to get hit to me on every pitch for a 10-year-old, man, that's quite difficult.
It really is, and I'm going to tell you the thing we use, at least or I have in the last few years, and a lot of coaches are doing this, is teaching just the prep step, just teaching the prep step, just a little hop, just to jump into it instead of falling asleep and just waiting because it is cold. To your point, to go back earlier to what you're saying, it's cold. We played a tournament this weekend, and it might have been 40 degrees, and got my hands in my pocket holding the whatever the little heat pad, and I'm just waiting for something to happen. And by the time it happens, it's too late. I've said it 1,000 times. Baseball is so slow until it's not, and then it is absolutely just a heart attack. I mean, everything's happening. It's chaos. It is. It
That's
is so,
great.
and so you want to call timeout all the time to talk to the 10-year-olds and say, let's explain what just happened with all that running around because once we missed the throw to first, all the other missed throws, they don't matter. Just leave that alone because that's chaos. The wheels are off.
Yeah.
Got a flat tire maybe on one. That's about it. It's it's wild. Let
It,
me ask you this question. In Tennessee, we've seen a huge uptick in youth baseball participation. Sign up for tryouts. Rec leagues are full as they can be. Travel teams are starting all over the place. We've got one-offs, not necessarily organizations, but just one single 10-year-old team here or 11-year-old team here. It's exploding. Are you seeing the same thing in St. Louis that we are?
you know, I haven't looked at numbers like that. I've never really looked at that. As far as I know, there's no drop off. I know that. The only thing that I think is different, and I haven't looked at this, and I, when you mentioned rec teams, I would say that that is the biggest difference in our area from when I was coaching in that respect with my son and moving up those things. Is you saw a lot more rec ball, but and there may still be there are. I know we still have some leagues, but they just aren't as full as maybe they used to be. So I think that, and even because I think what here is you've seen some teams that are maybe rec going into the clubs,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll play league, but they'll go to tournaments and whatnot. So I think that's kind of where that's gone to here in St. Louis.
Yeah, that's a good point. There is a lot of jumping from very high level rec because there's a lot of rec teams that can compete, and there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong with that in the world. I mean, when I was growing up, it's American Legion and at AAU, and you got Little League, Little League, and that was it. And you hope for the best. In Nashville, when I was in high school, there were three travel teams. That was it. You were on, Shootiques, Hallmark, or Twitty Sig. There was nothing else. And now it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing because these kids are getting some real exposure, and a lot of kids are seeing some good success trying to go to college. The college level is a whole other issue with the transfer portal and all that. And we're going to get into that stuff in the show
Mm-hmm.
down the road. We're going to talk to some really college experts on that, not just recruiting guys, but coaches.
I'm curious with Tennessee. We just got down there this year, so we're still learning a little bit about what's going on and things of that nature. That's why I think this is so great. The opportunity to talk on a broader scale concerning youth baseball, high school baseball, but especially 9 to 14. Barron, when you're looking at um, you know 9 through 12, there's so many teams that, oh, we want to see the rankings, the national rankings and things. I want your thoughts on some of these national rankings. I know the clubs, it may be a selling point and whatnot, but what are your thoughts on those things?
Oh my goodness, that's such a loaded question. Um, that
Boom.
is such a big one. Yeah, that was good. That was good. I don't see a whole lot of use, quite honestly, right now in ranking a 9-year-old baseball team at all. I don't know how you
I
would
agree.
even rank them. I don't know how you would know that. I don't know based on potential? Is it based on previous, results? What is it? And even up to 12, I mean, you're still on the small field. You're 12 years old hitting, a 200 foot home run. It's a fly ball the very next year when you're 13 on the big fields. And even then, those rankings, I mean, we've got a couple really highly ranked 14 and 15. That's a different level.
That's different.
That's when you start going.
Mm-hmm.
But to be the number 14th team at 8U, which there are, I've seen, I mean, it comes across, and you're like, how did that happen? It's mind-boggling me. So to answer your question, I'm not a huge fan of it, but I mean, parents love it, kids love it. They like to see it.
Have we played the team from Massachusetts?
Oh, I know it's wild. It's wild. I'll tell you a quick story. We played a team from Memphis. That my 10-year-old team played a team from Memphis this past weekend, very early in the morning, and my guys did not want to be there. Their guys drove from Memphis to be there, so that's a 3.5 hour drive. They want to play, and I'm gonna tell you that it could have been they could have football scored us. It could have been a 50-2 game, but anyway, I'll go over there to third base every time when I'm coaching, and I talk to all the coaches, and you trying to get their story, their history, and talk like this. And he said, we've been together since we were 6 years old, and nobody's come on, nobody's left, and this is just who we are. And they've grown up, and that the teams are fantastic, who are willing to travel, especially at this young age. And that's another topic we will talk about on the show: is when do we start traveling, and how far do you travel? How far do you take a 10-year-old team?
Yeah.
I mean, it's, and you want to give them the best. You want to give them the best opportunity to at least experience, and that's the key at this point, in my opinion, Brian. And I don't know what yours is, and I'll ask the experience of playing this type of baseball is about the most right now. Wins or losses, it doesn't make any difference right now to me.
I agree. And my whole thought is if you're going around the corner getting your butt whooped, traveling 500 miles to get your butt whooped,
Yep.
and if you want to travel and enjoy the experience and go see some stuff and the kids have a great time and it's a bonding experience, I think that's great. You get down to maybe, the venues that are different. That's fine. Get your butt whooped, go on home. That's okay. Just understand, here's the thing, and I think these are interesting points, and I know we discuss these things, and these have been my experiences. The last time I coached, I had a 15U squad. My son was on it, and we had a handful of players that I thought were, college players that could play at college. The rest were good players. I mean, we were a decent team, but the parents are all saying, "Hey, we got to travel, we got to get out." And I said, "I'll tell you what, we're going to do this here, and then we'll go down to this one tournament." It was in Joplin. It was loaded. The first game we played pretty well. I think we lost by 2 runs. Then we played the Arkansas Prospects. And, this kid on the mound is throwing 88. I think he was already committed to Arkansas. I don't know. I can't remember now. I've slept a lot since then. But I do remember this. And, it's like, we'll go down, and they ruled us. We had 3 hits. My son had 2 of them. I will give him some props. They handed it to us, and after the game, I told the fellas, I said, okay, now, that's who you're getting recruited against. Simple as that.
Fair point.
Simple as that, point. Gentlemen. I mean, 15U, now you're talking about playing at college. You guys want to play. Those are the guys they're looking at, fellas. So where are you at? How are you working? Are you working to get better? And sometimes, especially at those ages, I think it's an eye-opening experience sometimes. And you understand, well, what do I got to do to be better? And if you're willing to work, you can. It's not anything. But at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, it should just be about having some fun, enjoying if you're traveling, and the experience of things. And that's just my thought process too.
No, I would agree with that. 100%. Our goal is just to, especially at 8, 9, 10, 11, even 12. I just want the kid to play next year. I want him to
Right.
not hate this game so much because of a bad experience between either losing by a whole bunch all the time or I hate to say it, a bad coach or something like that. That just drives me crazy. I just want the kid to play another year because you never know. You haven't even grown yet. You don't know what you don't know. You're 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and you're hearing things like cliches are my favorite thing from the stands. You hear them every single weekend. Straighten it out. Well, obviously that's what I was trying. I mean, or throw a strike. I mean, I know how this game works. I mean, they're not ridiculous. Throw a strike. It's my favorite one. But
Yeah.
I would agree. I would agree with that 100%. I think there's a time to turn it on competitively, like really competitively, and then everybody wants to win. But there's a time to also understand. You know, if we're down by 14, we're not going to keep on doing things just because we're trying to win the game. We're still going to develop the kids. The game's over.
Yeah.
So
And I'm sure it's like this in your neck of the woods. There are a few teams that just beat everybody up that are that good at 10, 11, 12. And I think if you've got a team like that, you may have to travel to, find the competition. That doesn't mean you won't go somewhere else and beat up another team, but you may run into a few other teams that can compete with you. And I think that's a fair thing. And I know we've got a few teams like that in this area, but that's few and far between.
right. There's a handful here that are doing just what you're saying, and I think that that's appropriate. If you've got a team of 10-year-olds that need to be pushed a little bit, they can be developed at a significant pace, much faster than most. You either do one or two things: you travel outside the area to find the best of the best, or you play up at 11. And a lot of those teams are doing that. They'll play up a whole year just to go into a tournament, a Game 7 tournament, and register as 11, even though they're 10, and just get the experience. If you get beat, you get beat, but at least you're going against competition that's making the kids better because they're going to get bored too. It's boring to win 25-0 eventually. Not the first time, but eventually it gets boring. It gets boring. It gets boring.
Well, Barron, it's been fun talking with you. I think this is a good start. It gets people, introduce the show. We're hoping to get, I know you won't see my face. It's going to be Barron. We did this today because he's working on getting all of his schedules going together here with the coaches and stuff like that. Barron, we're looking forward to it, man. We appreciate you being part of our squad here.
Brian, I appreciate you being my first guest. This show's going to be a whole lot of fun. We're gonna get after it with a lot of guests and a lot of conversations. It's going to be a great time.
Absolutely. So
It's awesome. I appreciate everybody. Thank you very much. YBMcast Tennessee. Subscribe. Do all the things. Come listen.